Hello and welcome back to another video. As you've probably seen by the title, this is another video of me finishing an old project. So this was an old samurai robot that I was working on, but if I'm being honest, I wasn't really happy with him. So I start to kind of tear him apart because I'm going to redo a lot of pieces. And like I found in this old wooden dragon kit this like thing that I'm going to use as the base. Trying to just kind of find a new position for him. And then I'm going to start cutting out these the like pointy bits that kind of come out of the samurai helmets that kind of make it look more like a helmet. It's kind of annoying because the original ones that I cut out weren't actually big enough for the helmet, so I had to redo them, but yeah. So then I pulled out my hot glue gun and started to glue in these new pieces. Man, these actually made a big difference. It made it like look way more like a samurai, and was the intention I was going for, so I'm glad that worked out. Then I grabbed this little, like, almost looks like a ninja mask when I originally cut it out. It's kind of meant to be like I guess like a face guard or something, and it adds a lot of character, I think, to the front of him. His face felt kind of bland. I think it makes him look a little more menacing and more interesting. This is then where I glued the actual guy to the base. So I glued his one foot in, and then I had to glue in the other precariously while the other was just standing on the hot glue. His legs are quite fragile, so it was kind of difficult, but it worked in the end. And then here I'm gluing on some extra shoulder panels because I feel like in my head I kind of thought of an image, and I was like, I swear samurai or like shogun kind of have like 3 shoulder plates on them, but not completely sure, not like an expert. And then I started to work on the hands using some what are they called, like barbecue stick, what, not barbecue sticks, like toothpicks, yeah, toothpicks, and some square beads, making some hands. Hands are hard, man. Hands are really hard. I don't understand, but the thing is, they do add a lot of character to the things you're making. That's why I try to add like pretty cool looking hands to most of my models, because they just make it look more interesting and give it a lot of character. I then grabbed some more beads and glued it on to the actual arm. Again, just adding more interest to the model. And this is where I started to build the other hand, which is actually holding the sword from the sheath that I'm going to later glue on. It's the one that I originally took off of the model because it was just weird, and it was like in a weird position, and when remaking the arms and body, it would be kind of in the way. So I removed that, and originally the sheath had the sword in it, but I thought it would be cooler if he was holding the sword. So now he has the sword in one of his hands, and then the sheath will be on, like, I want to say pelvis, but he's like a ball, so I don't think he actually has one of those. Yeah, and then I glued in the arms, then glued in one of the old ones, which was the one actually holding the staff, which I didn't actually really make any edits to. So I ended up just gluing it back into the base. And then here, I glue back in the head glue back in the head. And I found this another weird, like, wooden thing that I thought was interesting. And then there, I glued on the sheath. Now, this part, I didn't know how well this was actually going to work, but it was just a test, and I think in the finished result, it ends up working. So I used hot glue because I wanted to make it look like water ripples, and I don't actually have any, like, resin or any of that stuff, so yeah. And now it's onto the paint job. So I spray painted in black off camera, and here I start with a like red paint, but instead of telling you all the steps, I'm going to tell you a story as I have with my other videos. Long ago, in the time of the Shogun, a large mechanical defender was built. It resembled the samurai, wielding a large katana and bladed staff. This robot was sent to defend the Shogun from any ongoing threat from the Smugglers Guild. The Smugglers Guild had become more powerful over the years, gaining more and more people. Eventually they attempted a siege on the temple of the Shogun, bringing with them a large robot of their own, much more thrown together than the giant samurai. But the samurai fell after intense battle that ended in the middle of the ocean. But now, about 400 years later, the robot was spotted on the coast off of Langorth. It was supposedly covered in seaweed and other assortments of things. The robot was seen scavenging the beach, looking for what we still don't know, but the suspicion is that it found its old bladed staff buried under the beach. If this robot is aggressive, or not, we don't know, so the Langorth government is keeping an eye on it, and blocking the beach off entirely, so no one gets hurt by it. But I have been assigned by the Smugglers Guild to take control of the robot. How I get past the border put in place, I don't know. But I will try as the guild has asked of me. Lusoff Torin, signing off. Now, I'm kind of just going to go back to describing what I've been doing after the story. Hope you enjoyed. There will be a video at some point about the Smugglers Guild robot, so stay tuned for that one. So here, after like all the red and stuff, I grabbed a way lighter red because I wanted to kind of try out a new painting style and just dabbled it all over the red parts. Like every red part got an intense amount of it, and then I did the same for the yellow, or the gold I guess, which I used a bright yellow for. This choice, I don't know if I was crazy happy with it. I have kind of like liked it more and more as I've like looked at it. You know, it's alright, like... Wait, that just sounded like that one meme. I didn't even mean to do that, that's kind of funny. Become part of my vocabulary, I guess. Anyway, then, for all the black bits that are left, I grabbed a lighter gray, which I stippled all across the body. Same process as the gold and the black. I then proceeded to paint like the 3 wires or so that were actually exposed with a green, because I don't know, I couldn't really think of another color and I didn't want to use a red, gold, or black, so I used a green because I thought it would contrast kind of nice. So yeah. So me from the edit here, I didn't realize, I only just now realized by the time of me editing, that I completely missed and lost the video where I painted the base like blue and like oceany, so I guess you'll get the final shots, but not that part. So that's the final shots. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and leave a comment down below.